Let me tell you something that you don't know about Michael Jordan. Most people see the 6 championship rings and the billion-dollar brand. They see the Jumpman logo and the greatest athlete to ever live. But they don't see the 15-year-old kid who locked himself in his room and sobbed. He had just been cut from his high school varsity basketball team. His name wasn't on the list posted on the gymnasium door. He was told he wasn't tall enough. He was told he wasn't skilled enough. That moment didn't break Michael Jordan. It created him. The world remembers the game-winning shots, but Michael remembers the misses. He remembers the rejection. He remembers the people who told him to find a different hobby. What you are about to hear isn't just a story about basketball. It is a blueprint for the obsessed. It is a manual for anyone who has ever been told no. Michael didn't go home and give up after being cut. He started showing up to the gym at 6 a.m. every single morning before school. He practiced until his hands were raw and his lungs burned. He wasn't practicing to be good. He was practicing so that no one would ever have the power to say no to him again. This is the MJ mentality. It's a level of commitment that borders on insanity. By the time he reached the University of North Carolina, he was a different animal. In 1982, as a freshman, he took the shot that changed everything. The national championship was on the line. The lights were at their brightest. Most freshmen would have passed the ball. Most players would have folded under the weight of a university's expectations. Michael took the shot. He made it. But here is the secret most people miss. That shot didn't give him confidence. It gave him a hunger that could never be satisfied. When he entered the NBA in 1984, the league was dominated by giants. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird owned the throne. The Chicago Bulls were a losing franchise. They were a joke in the league. Michael Jordan decided to change the DNA of an entire city. He didn't do it with speeches. He did it with a work ethic that terrified his teammates. He was the first person at practice and the last to leave. He played every game like his life depended on it. If he was sick, he played. If he was injured, he played. He famously said that he missed more than 9,000 shots in his career. He lost almost 300 games. 26 times he was trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. He failed over and over and over again in his life, and that is why he succeeded. But the road to the top wasn't a straight line. In the late 80s, Michael ran into a wall called the Detroit Pistons. They were the bad boys. They were physical, they were mean, and they had one goal: stop Michael Jordan. They created the Jordan rules. Every time he drove to the basket, they knocked him to the floor. They bruised his body and they bruised his ego. For 3 years in a row, the Pistons eliminated the Bulls from the playoffs. The media started to whisper. They said Michael was a scorer, but not a winner. They said he was too selfish. They said he would never win the big one. Most people would have asked for a trade. Most people would have looked for an easier path. Michael Jordan went into the weight room. He added 15 pounds of muscle. He told his teammates that if they weren't willing to suffer, they didn't belong on the court with him. He turned his frustration into fuel. In 1991, he finally swept the Pistons. He didn't just beat them, he broke them. He went on to win his first NBA championship, then the second, then the third. He was at the absolute pinnacle of global fame. He was the most famous person on the planet. And then, in a single moment, his world collapsed. His father, James Jordan, was murdered. His father was his best friend. His father was the man who sat in the stands and cheered for that 15-year-old kid who got cut. The pain was so deep that Michael walked away from the game. At the height of his powers, he retired. He went to play minor league baseball. He was riding buses and playing in dirt fields for $5 a day. The media mocked him. They called it a midlife crisis. They said he was failing. But Michael needed to lose everything to remember why he loved the game. He needed to find the dirt in the grind again. In 1995, he sent a 2-word fax to the world: "I'm back." He didn't come back to participate. He came back to take what was his. He led the Bulls to a 72-10 season, the greatest in history at that time, and he won 3 more championships in a row. He played through the flu game in 1997. He was dehydrated, shaking, and barely able to stand. He scored 38 points and won the game. Why? Because the mission was more important than the pain. Michael Jordan's story isn't about talent. There are thousands of people with talent who never do anything with it. His story is about the choice to be relentless. It is about the decision to turn every failure into a stepping stone. He wasn't the fastest or the strongest, but he was the most mentally disciplined human being to ever step onto a court. He created a culture where excellence was the only acceptable standard. He bullied his teammates, not because he was mean, but because he knew what it took to win. He knew that the world is designed to make you average. He knew that if you want to be great, you have to be misunderstood. You have to be willing to be the villain in someone else's story, to be the hero in your own. Michael Jordan didn't compete against other players. He competed against the version of himself from yesterday. He never stopped trying to prove that 15-year-old kid wrong. He never let the fire go out. Success is a lonely road. It is a road filled with early mornings and late nights. It is a road where you will be doubted by everyone around you. But if you can tap into that Jordan energy, nothing can stop you. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to look like a fool. You have to be willing to lose everything to see what you are truly made of. The rings, the money, and the fame were just side effects. The real prize was the person he became in the process. He became a symbol of what is possible when a human being refuses to quit. He showed us that impossible is just an opinion. He showed us that too small is just a perspective. He showed us that the list on the gym door doesn't define your future. You define your future. Every day you wake up, you are making a choice. You are either choosing to be average or you are choosing to be legendary. There is no middle ground. Michael Jordan chose greatness every single second of his life, even when he was tired, even when he was grieving, even when the entire world was betting against him. So the next time you feel like giving up, remember the kid in the room. Remember the tears. Then remember the 6 rings. The distance between those 2 points is called work. It is called sacrifice. It is called the Mamba mentality, before the Mamba even existed. It is the Jordan way. You have greatness inside of you, but it is buried under your excuses. It is buried under your fear of failure. It is time to dig it out. It is time to lace up your shoes and get to work. The world doesn't owe you anything, but you owe yourself everything. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is right now. Michael Jordan didn't wait for permission to be the greatest. He took it. Now it's your turn. Michael Jordan didn't just win games, he won a war against human limitation, and the true cost of that victory is a price most are too afraid to pay. If you enjoyed this story, tag a friend who needs to hear this today.